Let's carry on with our Q&A because we have a few more minutes. Let's cover the first question. Can a Tweety mixer support artisan bread production? Mark, you want to go first?
As I shove stuff.
Oh, okay, I'll go first.
I'm sorry.
I didn't know
I
you
just
were
couldn't
thinking of
resist.
the
I have
bite.
it sitting here.
I know that's like real delicious. Can you hold it off a second? Okay, I'll start first, and then I'll let you chime in. Because a lot of artisanal bakeries take so long to pre-ferment for bulk fermentation prior to final mixing. You don't want to use a Tweety mixer to really ruin all that nice big bubbles in there, you know. So my suggestion is to not use a Tweety mixer and to go the traditional route of you know, your spiral mixers, or even, you know, those Italian hand level mixers that goes this way.
Yep.
You know, those are the best for artisan bread because it keeps integrity of all the work that you've put in so much into the dough already.
Yeah, like
so,
the mixers I used to use in my apprenticeship, we're used to, in Canada, we call them hockey stick mixers.
Yeah.
Because
those are the most gentle.
Yeah, the bowl is turning, and it's really literally just an arm that is just folding the dough like this. And it is still a little bit faster than doing it entirely by hand, but it takes about 40 minutes to mix a dough in that mixer, right?
Yeah.
And
Absolutely. But the most gentlest, right?
Yeah.
But can you still use a Tweety mixer? Yes, you can still use a Tweety mixer. It's just that you give up the integrity of large holes. You're gonna get small uniform holes.
You know, I mean, the Tweety would be good for, you know, mixing the pre-ferment and just banging those out. That's about it, right? I mean, because it is so fast, because you're going to be to process artisan bread in a Tweety mixer, you're talking seconds. I mean, literally, you know, probably 5 to 10 seconds of mixing is all you would do, because you don't want to stress the gluten. You don't want to break all of those bubbles and homogenize it too much.
Yeah, I think if you could move the Tweety back into the process step for pre-ferment, that's great. And then insert a different mixer for the final mix. You know, that way you can really give that integrity of big holes in there. The reason why Tweety mixers are so popular, especially in the UK, is because it is an you know, it's an important part of the straight dough process and pan bread, right? Pan bread, you really need those fine and tight grain, and Tweety mixer is the best for that. Like no other mixers beat that, right? But now you're completely changing your headspace into another form of bread, so the mixer might not, you know, work anymore. So you might think about changing up the mixer a little bit. So
yeah, and for these
opinion.
I mean, for something with just the chia seed in it, you know, again, it may or may not work. You won't get the larger bubbles, but if you're having any other particulates in there, things like the sunflower seeds and walnuts and things like that, you're bound to smash all of that into pieces and not have any recognizable ingredients in there.
So
and
no inclusions for you.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, let's go on to the next question. Can the ingredient of Chia powder fully replace eggs in a cake formulation? I think this is a Remi question.
Yeah, it is my question. Then yes, yes, it's possible. I mean, what Mark said, when you apply the chia powder into a formulation, you have to see, what is the level you're gonna, depending on what you want to achieve. And he said, I even reduce the amount of gluten in order to have less formation. Now, in the cake application, and we saw in the keto application, you can have it even if you want without any egg, because that binding effect that you're gonna have, and the emulsion that you're looking for the egg, right? That's gonna help you in the cake formation. So yes, you can replace totally or partially depending on what is the application that you're looking for, or in the end target of your product.
Okay, next question. How much more water should I use when formulating with Chia powder 435 WLM?
Well,
Well, it's going to depend a lot on the application. In like a straightforward, whole wheat type of bread, where as I've added it here, where I added 20% based on baker's percent of milled chia powder to the dough, I had to, technically I had to increase the water absorption by 10%. So, I would say it's basically 2 to 1 roughly. So for every percentage of chia flour that you're adding to your bread dough, you would want to add 0.5% more water roughly, right? That would be a rule of thumb, a guideline I would use.
Great, thanks. Can chia flour replace emulsifiers and hydrocolloids in bakery applications?
correct.
Hydrocolloids for sure. Emulsifiers, yes, especially if you're combining it with things like the chia protein. The milled chia seed flour on its own needs a little bit of help with emulsification. And so in my bread, I have a little bit of sunflower lecithin, powdered sunflower lecithin added. But yeah, if you have because Benexia also has a chia protein, and if you combine that with the milled chia, you would have an excellent emulsifier as well.
Yep. All right. Next question is, how much of a shelf life would you expect out of artisan bread in general?
Well,
depends on how you package it.
Depends a lot of things. I mean, like if you're talking things like, say like a traditional baguette, for example, which is a very open grain and a crispy crust, the quality shelf life is usually a day. If you package it properly and handle it properly, you might get a week out of it. But then you still also have to.
I've seen baguettes
yeah.
produced in a proprietary way, almost very similar to the Tangzone method, to be a week or more, because they got the starch gelatinized so well, So it really depends.
And when it comes out of the oven, I mean, it depends also I always say depends what you're talking about in terms of shelf life, right? If you're talking staling or you're talking molding, right? And staling, as Dr. Lin mentioned, properly gelatinizing the starches, including a portion like the Tangzong method, or even just high hydration that is handled properly and baked out properly, so that you bake it long enough to hit your internal temperatures, but don't bake it too long that you're just drying everything back out again, right? And things then afterwards, after baking, is all of the handling, because when that bread comes out of the oven, it's pure, it's clean, it's everything is that could have lived has been killed, because you've put it in an oven at 220 Celsius or 450 Fahrenheit for half an hour. It's essentially sterilized, right? And so it's whatever happens to the bread the moment it comes out of the oven. That's where all the trouble begins, right? So that's, as to your point, you said packaging. It all depends on how you package it. If you want to get 3 months out of it or more, then you're looking at metallized foil, modified atmosphere packaging, all these types of things. I'm working with a graduate student who is trying to make a croissant that has a 3-month shelf life, right? And the first problem is learning how to make a croissant. Right? So that's the biggest challenge.
You don't know how to make a croissant?
And you know, it's like, you know, baking's easy, right?
It's so easy.
Just watch a couple of YouTube videos and you're an expert. But yeah, and so all these things, and so then, you know, with other things like even with our tortilla here, so for an artisan tortilla that I've made yesterday, it's still holding up well. The next day, if I put these into a nice clean plastic bag, they will hold for a couple days or more. But they will, because I've now touched them numerous times without gloves, they will start molding within 4 or 5 days. I guarantee it, right? You can add certain things that will act as natural mold inhibitors, vinegars, all these types of things. But there again, you have to maintain that no contact and things like that. So so it's another one of those depends questions, right? But you know, a rich artisan bread like this that is high in moisture still and stuff like that, these we've had just on the counter in a plastic bag for a week without any issues. The long fermentation gives you a low enough pH that it acts as a natural mold inhibitor of its own as well. So we're not seeing any mold issues, and we're not getting any starch retrogradation. It's beautiful, tasty bread that we have for breakfast and lunch and stuff. And
yeah, on that pH, I once made a sourdough bread that had such a long fermentation and such low pH that it lasted for 3 months.
Wow.
And it's not because my countertop was sterile. You know, it all has to do with your pH and, you know, your water activity and how soon you package it. So the faster you package it, the longer shelf life it would be.
Yeah, and the other thing, if you've got the starch retrogradation under control and you're looking for different packaging possibilities and can't do modified atmosphere, look at things like the So Fresh bags that are treated, and we're getting well over a month out of that as well with no mold. So there's lots of options out there. So it always depends. First of all, clarifying specifically what you mean by shelf life. Is it quality? Is it staling? Is it flavor? Is it, you know, mold? If it's all of those, you still have to work with each one independently.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's try to wrap this up. We have 2 more questions. The first one is for Mark. Can the tortilla be made out of 100% chia flour, or only in a blend with other type of flours?
My guess is probably it would be very difficult. You would still need to add, if you're trying to make it gluten-free, you still have to add something, some protein and gums to replace that gluten functionality. So I'm not going to say no. It would be challenging, is what I would say. You could look to things like there again, it also depends on whether you need to be vegan or not, because like as we've worked with some of the whey protein concentrate from Arla, it really helps and combines well with the chia in some of the products. Things like the Nutriati's chickpea powders or things like that, or ADM has bean powders and Cargill has different bean powders. So those, in terms of, you know, trying to not to dilute the chia, but to provide functionality that you need to replace the gluten, because you still have to have something that is going to be able to extend and then as it cooks remain flexible and stuff. So the gluten is what is providing most of that. Otherwise, you're going to end up with something that is uncooked and high in water activity and will mold very, very easily, right?
Right. Remi, have you ever tried, what's the highest that you've gone with the chia flour and tortillas?
You know, in tortilla, I haven't never tried. I'm not a bakery expert, so I've done bread and other cereal application, and the highest I have we normally go is 50%. Now, what is the problem? Is that in the chia flour, doesn't have any starch, so it's not soft. It's only protein and fiber, and mainly fiber. So it's very hard. So even if you need to have the functionality and the elasticity, that some of the parts going to be from the soluble fiber, it is important that you have something soft because it's fiber, and you need to
Hmm.
have something soft. And the most important at the end consumer is that it tastes great. So you have to find a way that it's nutritional, it's clean label, it's gluten free or keto, but it tastes good. And
Hmm.
I, from our experience and from the market experience that he showed us right now, is that between 7 to 15, 20% is okay. You know, the chia flour can work very well in those range. Doesn't matter what type of baking application you use. We have seen muffin, we have seen bagel, tortilla, artisan bread, but you wanted to keep it at there, and that is enough because they're gonna give you the fiber claim, the omega-3 claim, the protein claim. It's gonna be marketable, it's gonna taste good, it's gonna have a great tester, and this is what the consumer is looking for. So
Great,
why
thanks.
to go more? You know, why to make it 100%? Well, it's fine with
It's
it.
just to push the needle, I guess.
Yeah,
Exactly,
just
you know.
just to give you an example of what Remi's talking about in our artisan bread here, and this the one that I've been snacking on already. That is, as I mentioned, that's an excellent source of omega-3. Tell you how much of an excellent source of omega-3 is. That one slice of bread will give you 46% of the daily recommended value. The daily recommended value on a 2,000 calorie diet is 740 milligrams. This one slice has 1,600 milligrams. And that's by
Amazing.
only using 20% milk chia seed. So to Remi's point, why
That's a
more?
lot of
More
omegas.
isn't always better, right?
Exactly, exactly.
If and there again, if it's to go gluten free, there are other aspects to consider in terms of, as you mentioned, then you have to have a starch replacement and all these other things.
And you can use corn, you can use rice, you can
Mm-hmm.
use, there's so many other potatoes, you can use
Yeah.
tapioca starch, there's so many other ingredients that still you can have them clean label. You know, there's a different type of native corn too. Everybody think about sweet corn, but uh, in South America we have over 3,000 different type of corn,
Mm-hmm.
native that also can bring those ancient American heritage, because the chia is from America, from the continent. The corn is from the continent, the quinoa is from the continent. So
Yep.
you can keep it, like the heritage of the America, of the
Mm-hmm.
continent. There's a lot of great idea that you can do, and great product mixing, and also give them those nice flavor, different flavor profile to traditional wheat, let's say,
Yep.
which
Yeah.
we
One
receive it from the European.
one that I haven't tried, I still have some of the milled chia flour available, and in a couple of weeks, I'm the one I haven't gotten to yet is a corn tortilla. So I have some nixtamalized corn masa flour, which is gluten free, and that together with the milled chia. Want to make some corn tortillas and then fry them as chips, right? So and to kind of see and compare a little bit, just in my simple way of what I have available to me, because I can't do fat extractions, but to kind of see if it helps reduce some of the fat absorption when frying the chips, if we can, if there's a benefit there as well, because usually when you have higher protein like that, it'll seal off and create a an absorption barrier, so that you still fry and get the crispy chip, but you won't get as much fat uptake, right? Which would add additional health aspects to a snack in that sense. So I'll report on that in a couple of weeks in the Facebook group, right?
Great, great. Oh, let's just end it up with one more question. Can chia flour be used in biscuit manufacturing?
Correct.
Yes. By biscuit, we're talking about the British term cookies, most likely, right?
Most probably. And then there's another one that says crackers. So
Yes.
Remi, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing. I mean, you're probably gonna have to use a little bit less because you want that cracking, right? And the chia muesli is gonna be giving you a little bit of elasticity. But yes, it's. I mean, we have customers that have done, depending the technology, like extruded cracker, rice cracker with chia flour in about the range of 15%, and they extrude it, and you have those, like a I don't know, like a wasabi type of rice, like crackers that you can have for like a.
Okay.
But it's
Interesting.
going to be a little bit more artisan because it's not going to be that soft. So you're going to have fiber on it. But yes, you can play. I mean, people are going to have to go like between 5 to 10% maximum on the recipe.
Yeah, this could be like, if you're familiar with sun chips, they're kind of like a wavy cracker. They're extruded, and it would work probably really well in something like that, or even extruded crisps and things. I see lots of opportunity for things
Just
like
give
that.
it a try.
Yeah, for biscuits and cookies, absolutely. The cookie I'm working on that I'm playing around with is a high fiber almond cookie with almond and fruits in it, dried fruits, and it tastes super good, right? And
yeah, I say hit the keto trend with the biscuits and the cookies. Make it high fiber and net out the carbs to zero. So that will help. All right, everyone, we really need to run now because we are over our time limit and we are holding back everyone from doing the actual jobs at the bakery. So thank you everyone for coming on today, and thank you Mark for baking such awesome baked products, and Remi for lending us your chia technical knowledge. Awesome. And I will see you guys again soon, and this will be available as a recording next week. Thank you everyone for coming on.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Ciao.
Bye.
Bye.